The NHL season is almost here, so today we will be predicting the Central Division standings for the upcoming season.
All right, the bottom three teams of the Central Division. No surprise, I believe. Number 8, the Chicago Blackhawks for me. Number 7, this is where I get a little bold, the Minnesota Wild. Number 6, I'm going to St. Louis Blues. And that facial reaction tells me you did the same thing.
No, it's not exactly the same thing. Number 8, Chicago Blackhawks. Number 7, the Minnesota Wild. And number 6, the no-name hockey brand in Utah.
Oh, okay. On my notes, I wrote Coyotes. But they're coming on later. I wrote Coyotes. But okay, number 8, the Chicago Blackhawks, very quickly.
Should I tell you my first note? My first note for the Chicago Blackhawks is that nobody likes them. I don't like them.
Okay, well,
like
okay.
And
there's a lot of reasons why they're not liked. For us, is that also the Canucks connection, but obviously all the stuff that happened off the ice.
Number 2 reason, they suck. They're just the best way to put it, except for Bedard. And then number 3 reason I have is they just don't have the goaltending and defense, and their offense is just basically all Bedard and like Teravainen basically at this rate.
So for me, like simple as I put it, they're still young and they'll take a step. Oliver Moore is still not going to crack the starting lineup right now.
It's all Bedard.
They added vets, like they traded for Ilya Mikheyev and they added Alec Martinez and TJ Brody there. But yeah, right now, as long as Bedard is healthy, that's your only attraction there. Taylor Hall's back, so that could help a little bit in terms of the development of some of the young guys, whether the ones that get called up or not during the season. But we're not going to get too much into it. It's clear number 8. Number 7, we both had the Wild. And listen, everything from here onwards, they're all going to be contenders.
It's tighter race, yeah. It's a very tighter race
compared to the Pacific for sure. I just wrote that they surprised some teams last year. They didn't do much in the offseason for me to to significantly put them ahead of these teams ahead. I just think they're still like a solid team. Like I'm gonna just say that. I won't be surprised if they finish somehow 4th or 5th in this thing.
Yeah.
But someone had to be 7 for me. It's just the Minnesota Wild, just because it's just the same continuation in my opinion.
Again, yeah, like the biggest thing for me is that their star players, their main players, Spurgeon and Kaprizov, are usually injured. Same with Eriksson Ek, who faced injury last year as well. That's the biggest concern for me. Goaltending wise is decent, nothing too special. Obviously, we don't know what Fleury has left in the tank, and Gustafson's a solid goalie. But overall, again, great team, solid team. But they need to be healthy, and they can't really add much because of those recapture penalties that they have as well.
But for me, last year they had 2 contenders for the Calder after Bedard.
As well, yeah.
Brock Faber needs to not take a sophomore slump as well, and I believe it was Matt Boldy.
Yeah.
Who's according to Daily Faceoff's line, is
already injured. Day-to-day. So
but as of right now, he's on the second line here. So yeah, for me, nothing much to add there. But this is where we differ. So I think, do you want me to go or do you want me to go?
Yeah, you go first.
I just believe in the Utah Hockey Club, not the Coyotes.
Yeah.
As well. But I went with St. Louis. Yes, they did more than Minnesota in adding players. You know, the offer sheets for Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg. But for me, yes, they upgraded slightly by adding those guys, but is it like a necessarily big upgrade? This feels like a Jim Benning type moves that were made. I'm not a fan of the contract that Broberg got, especially because he hasn't really proven much. Maybe this is a spot for him to do it in this situation. Again, they had 90 plus points last year. I get that. However, a lot of that was because Binnington was also good last year. They don't have Krug for the year again. I know Krug didn't play much last year as well. But for me, it's just they're doing what the Canucks are doing under that Benning era and just adding
just doing stuff
for the sake of
making signings
you don't need to do.
Oh, yeah. I went with the no-name hockey brand in Utah. Number 1 reason, they have no name.
Okay.
Number 2, they made improvements. They obviously added Sergachev, which is the big one on the defense. It's gonna at the end of the day, it's gonna fall on
John Marino.
And John Marino, who's injured right now as well.
Cole.
And yeah, Ian Cole. Goaltending, again, we don't know what the hell Connor Ingram's going to do at the end of the day. He had that little Ingram sanity run, the Lynn sanity run that he had a little bit last season. But it's going to fall on Gunther, Cooley, and Keller. And Cooley's going to be in the sophomore year as well. And sophomore slumps are real. Overall, these guys were just a lot. Like, they were ways out. And I know there was a lot of drama in Arizona last season. And they're probably having a fresh start, which would help them. But like 77 points, they were like legit 20 points off the pace, like 15 to 20 points off the pace. And again, they're going to be in the race. They're going to be in the conversation. I just don't know what's going to be enough with how tight this division, in my opinion, is going to be, except for Chicago.
All right, so let's just go with our 5 and 4 here then. I'll let you gas up the Blues and I'll gas up the Coyotes. 5 for me, not the Coyotes. 5 is the Utah Hockey Club, and 4 for me is the Winnipeg Jets.
Number 5 for me, St. Louis Blues. 4, Winnipeg Jets.
Okay, so do you want to go first with the St. Louis?
Yeah, so firstly, St. Louis Blues, solid squad. They're going to need a little bit more from Thomas and Kyrou, in my opinion. That's another reason why they weren't great during like most of the season last year. And the second thing is like they had 92 points last year, and the reason why is that because they got solid goaltending. And then like what I have down here is that like if Binnington, it just plays like Binnington and like be that good goaltender he was, he will steal games. He'll win some games over St. Louis. He'll take over games, and for that reason, I think that they should be able to be in that 90-point range again if they could just continue to what they do, continue to do what they're doing. As long as they get a little bit more from Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou. And yeah, again, Holloway, good signing in terms of hockey. Broberg, good signing in terms of like the hockey standpoint, not contractually, but overall they improved more than the Wild for me, right? And I think that's why they have the edge at number 5.
How much are you just banking on like what they did last year to continue?
Yeah, honestly, I am. I really am. And the reason why is because of Binnington. What they banked on last year was what's supposed to be their best player when they won the cup, right?
Key thing is Binnington cannot be doing Binnington shenanigans.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, but when you think about it, since 2019 when they won the cup, right?
Yeah.
You think Binnington is going to be the best player on his team, right?
He wasn't.
And he wasn't. And last year he was.
Yeah.
And I think Binnington will be the best player. And if your best players are your best players, you're going to have a chance. If Binnington's their best player, they're going to have a chance. But he's going to need help from Thomas and Kyrou and other people on this team as well.
So I'll go with my 5. I went with the Utah Hockey Club here, which I think rumored they're going to be called the Yeti. But for now, we'll just keep it as the Hockey Club, a.k.a. the football version of Washington. I just banking on the jump of a new scenery. No more drama of where they're going to play. Because, like, listen, at the end of the day, as much as people want to say, shut up and play, you're making a lot of money for your sport or whatever the case is. Mentally, you're still wondering, am I going to be in this city, my family, wife, kids?
Just drama.
Just drama in general, right? So I think that now that they have a set place that will be there, and they have a proper owner in Ryan Smith, who also owns the Utah Jazz. I feel like that, and Utah has a pretty solid city. Salt Lake is like a solid city to live in as well. So for me, I'm banking on that. Tourigny, their coach, Andre Tourigny, is under a lot of pressure though. He's not this ownership's guy, so he's obviously gonna have to coach his ass off, and I feel like that will help benefit them. And for me, like their defenses got better in terms of adding John Marino. Ian Cole is a steady guy,
yeah.
right? And you added
just not against Edmonton.
Well, he was injured in that one, but Sergachev as well, right? So I think defensively they're there. The question is the goaltending, and I love the young forward groups, right? Yes, yeah. Logan Cooley's got to obviously step up in his second year as well, even more. But Clayton Keller's a stud.
Yeah, Keller's a stud. Gunther's a stud.
Gunther's a stud as well. They locked some of these guys up already.
And you have like Schmaltz and like other guys, Barrett Hayden. Like these are good players.
So for that, I'm banking on them to just have the Energizer Bunny type run for this year. Number 4, I'll let you go with the Jets because we
Winnipeg Jets. I'm same squad. Chemistry's there. Really surprised a lot of us last year.
One big loss though.
Who was it?
Rick Bowness.
Oh yeah, but their assistant coach did step up when Rick Bowness wasn't there last year as well. So that's why the continuity factor is still there. They're not necessarily learning any new system. Chemistry is there. All that stuff. It's come to a point now. Last year proved it as well because you give credit to what Jets what they did in regular season. I don't really give a damn what the Jets do in the regular season.
But this is a regular season.
I know this is a regular season thing, and that's why I put it on 4. I'm confident they'll make the playoffs as a wildcard team at least. But at the end of it, it's come to a point now where each season of Winnipeg, we're gonna criticize each year for Winnipeg as how they do in the playoffs now.
Like many teams.
Yeah, like they've come to that point, right? Like we've seen these guys make the playoffs. We've seen most of this core make the playoffs, but just absolutely disappear, whether through injuries or poor performance. And it's the same old story. I'm putting the Jets at 4 because I'm confident they'll make the playoffs. Other teams did get better around them, but same squad. They should have the continuity, but it doesn't matter what they do in the regular season anymore, unfortunately.
For me, there's one particular team that upgraded heavily, which is why that team, which we'll get into in our top 3, moves ahead of this team. Team's the same. They're gonna still have the best goalie in the league in Connor Hellebuck, or one of the best goalies in the league in Connor Hellebuck
in the regular season.
in the regular season, because we know that arguably is Shesterkin otherwise. When healthy all around. Yes, like this is a regular season build team. That's why I have them 4. I was gonna go bold, even put the Utah team there, but I can't disrespect the Winnipeg Jets that much either. Still have a lot of like solid guys, right? Like, do they have like a top guy? No, that's what ruins them in the playoffs. Like, I like Scheifele, I like Kyle Connor. Kyle Connor was injured.
Clear like who their best players are. Scheifele
and you know the roles, right? Like Adam Lowry, who's their captain, is a third line guy, but you know what his role is. He's the heart and soul of the team, so on and so forth. So for that reason, the Winnipeg Jets drop a spot because we're gonna get into our top 3 now. And then for me, it's the Nashville Predators at 3, the Colorado Avalanche 2, Dallas Stars go at 1.
It was funny, like you're like coming to recording, we're like, we're probably gonna have a different list because I went bold.
I did go bold though.
Yeah, but like only one thing was different. Number 3, the Nashville Predators. Number 2, Colorado Avalanche. And number 1, the Dallas Stars.
I was considering bold for this one too, but
you should put Predators at 1.
No, like 2.
But let's talk about Nashville. It's clear they had the best free agency. They improved the most out of.
They're going for it now.
In NHL, they're going for it right now. And the best part is they improved, especially offensively, because you added like 2 solid goal scorers on your team. And they still have their identity because, they're going to play defense. They still have the line.
Play fast.
They're going to play fast. They're going to play hard and all that stuff. The biggest issue with the Nashville Predators is their lack of centers, in my opinion.
Yeah, no.
And that's why I put them at 3 and not really like 1 or 2.
I'm looking at their lines because I still don't know where is Stamkos and Marchessault together, right? So I'm looking at the lines right now. Daily Faceoff has them together, the second line with Tommy Novak. Your top line, Ryan O'Reilly, Gustav Nyquist, Philip.
That was a good line last year too.
But is Ryan O'Reilly a top line center at this point in his career? Right?
No, exactly.
So that's where it is, and I agree with you there. That's why I did not move him up. Yeah. Now, maybe Tommy Novak and Colton Sissons and these guys, Michael McCarron, will surprise us. However, but we know, at least when they play with an identity, they lose Kiefer Sherwood to the Canucks, who was a big part of their bottom 6 in terms of forechecking and creating off that rush, off the forecheck, right? So they lose him, which is big to make space for these guys. However, at the end of the day, like, there's no denying. Like, Jonathan Marchessault was like a 40 goal scorer last year? I believe he was. Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong.
Stamkos was the best Lightning player in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Now, yes, Stamkos is not the same old Stamkos, so he's obviously.
But he still bags and goals.
Exactly, right? So that's what this team needed. They needed offense. They added that.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
So that was the big thing. So that alone will help them jump. They lock up Soros. I should have mentioned this for Chicago, but I wish they got Askarov. Obviously, these guys moved Askarov to San Jose, figured out their goalie tandem there as well for the next couple of years as well. And I love the Brady Shea pickup. Him and Roman Yossi will arguably be, like, in my opinion, they'll be the underrated, not talked about pairing, at least to start.
That's a top 10 pairing, in my opinion.
Yeah. So then, for me, that's how I'm gonna put it.
At number 2, I have Colorado, same as you. And the reason why I have Colorado at 2 is a solid squad in here. You know what they have: McKinnon and McCarr and Rantanen, likely the 3 best trio you could have in the NHL. And they're going to carry the squad. The biggest concern with the Colorado Avalanche for me is the injuries. And obviously they don't have Nichushkin anymore with his off-ice issues as well. But Lekkonen's out. Landeskog, we don't know what his situation is. But overall, even without these guys, they're still better than all these teams, in my opinion, except for one. And because of that, I have them at 2. And without Landeskog and all these guys, they still have their identity and they still have their play figured out. That's like they did, like to prove it last year.
For me, the pressure is going to be on Casey Middlestat.
Yeah,
you trade away Bowen Byram for this guy because last year literally you were top heavy, right? You were carrying. Reason why McKinnon won a Hart Trophy.
He's carrying.
It was because he was carrying a lot of the load with Rantanen. Jonathan Drouin had a pretty good year. For like a bounce back year for him because he was supposed to be the guy at places, but then he found a role here as well in a couple of spots in the past. They have the best defensive pairing in the league, in my opinion, and Devon.
Honestly, they're the best top 4.
Right, and top 4 wise, Josh Manson and Samuel Girard. The question is also going to be Georgiev. Because obviously we saw his moments, but he was an all-star last year.
But he usually gets 40 wins still.
Yeah, because the defense ahead of him is going to be decent. Again, for me, the reason why I have them number 2 is because of their depth, right? Simple as that.
And that's because
I think they'll bounce back.
And that's because of injuries.
Yeah. Even in general though.
They have 3 key guys out right now.
Exactly. Right. But so that's why they're number 2. Number 1, a lot of people are down on these guys because I think a lot of it is because of the recency bias of how they lost in the playoffs in the Dallas, and then this is the Dallas Stars for the both of us. And it's because like they also lost Chris Tanev, but you got to remember, Chris Tanev wasn't there at the beginning of the year. That was an added piece, right? They lose Joe Pavelski to retirement. However, that means that Logan Stankoven will be officially on the roster, in my opinion, and he had a pretty solid year last year when he was playing in the big team during the playoffs and late in the season there as well. Y. Johnston now have elevated to the top line, which I would think will help Rupe Hintz and Jason Robertson. Question is, can their older guys still continue what they did last year? Like Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin have to be they don't have to be better, at least be the same.
At least be as good, yeah.
As good, right? Because like there were moments in Dallas where they were not that great, but once the other guys, the younger guys, elevated for them, they found their roles properly and they needed to do what they do. Defensively, for me, they added Matt Dumba. You lose Chris Tanev near the end of the obviously what he did at the end of the year, so you lose defense, right?
You lose defense, yeah.
For sure. But again, they were still one of the top teams. The reason why we had them in the Stanley Cup final from the beginning, not even just during the playoff run, they were showing why they were, first place in the Central Division and the best team in the Central. I don't think they won the Presidents. Maybe.
No, Rangers won.
Rangers won it, right? So, but either way, and their goaltending, yes, Jake Ottinger has had an up and down year. We got to admit that. If he is consistent, they'll be fine, and I like their backup. As well.
Overall, again, it just like I expect their players just to play exactly the same. Like Hintz and Jason Robertson. And they also have really good depth with Duchesne, Marchment, and all these guys as well. Sagan, Ben. It's just gonna come down for me of how Stankoven and just Johnson fit into this lineup, and like can they be in that elevated roles, right? Because Johnson's getting promoted to the line one. Stankoven is gonna be promoted to a full-time NHLer, right? So as long as those guys, if they just live up to the roles, I don't think any drop-off should happen with the Stars team, and that's why I have them at one.
You know how you said that Winnipeg, you're just assessing the playoffs? This is a similar team. This is the Carolina Hurricanes of the West for me. I don't know how much you agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's actually a fair comp.
So for me, like at the end of the day, them and Carolina, when we talk about the Eastern Conference in the next 1 or 2 episodes for the NHL, we're going to be probably saying the same thing. Because at the end of the day, you guys are building cup contenders. Win it. Get to the final at least, right? You gotta
get to a final.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's quickly list our things out. I'll go first. I have Chicago at 8, Minnesota 7, St. Louis 6. My surprise team here, the Utah Hockey Club at 5, Winnipeg 4, Nashville 3, Colorado 2, and Dallas will once again win the Central Division.
I have number 8, Chicago Blackhawks, number 7, Minnesota Wild, number 6, Utah No Names, number 5, St. Louis, number 4, the Jets, 3, Predators, number 2, the Avalanche, and number 1, still the reigning defending Central Division champions, the Dallas Stars. That
being said, the 7 to 4 range can flip flop. The 1 and 2 could still flip flop. 3, Nashville could also do whatever they could do. Right?
Yeah,
so it's gonna be a much closer race. Expect maybe 2 Western Conference wildcards from this as well. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Compared to the Pacific, but that's our Central division preview for the NHL. Make sure you guys check out our Pacific Division 1 popping up as well. Hit that subscribe button and the post notification bell as well, because we'll be dropping 2 more divisional videos and a tier list coming up in the future as well. And follow our socials linked down below, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.